creating an Oracle database. I'm going to do this on my Linux server. So I have my X server set up, I have my IP address, I've exported Xhost, and I've exported display. I'm looking for a program in my home directory called DBCA. DBCA, Database Configuration Assistant. I'm going to run it in background so I can run something else in the same window. Database Configuration Assistant comes up. Click Next. Mostly I'm accepting defaults here. Anything that doesn't make sense we will explain in a later movie because there's a lot of detail here. Now when I click Next here, it gives me an error. What it's telling me here, if you read this carefully, is that it doesn't have a listener. A listener process is a program that listens for connections coming from other machines going into the database. We need to create it. It's telling me I have to run netca. This wasn't the case with previous versions of Oracle, but it is with this one. Click on the window again, ls net star. I need to run netca, and it's very simple. I'm just going to create a listener process. If I go into another window, just to show you what's missing, su-oracle, tns takes me into my listener configuration directory. There should be a file in this directory called listener.ora. It's not there. So now I'm running netca to go and find it again. All I'm going to do is just click X buttons. It's just going to add it and do it all automatically for me. I can do it manually if I really want, but it's complicated. It says use another port number, just click Next. Click Next, and click Finish. And that actually exited me out of the Oracle username as well. So up here, click ls, we have a file called listener. It just tells you that the database will listen on this port for connection requests to this database using this TCP protocol across the network, my local network. So click OK, click Next again, rock and roll, there we go. Got to use the same password, otherwise it's going to ask me for a password for each one, and it's going to tell me that it wants complicated passwords. I'm going to ignore that. I don't have a secure system. I'm not interested in that. It's just an empty database in my home office with nothing on it. We can select ASM or file system or just stick with the defaults. Stick with the defaults for basic installations for a course like this. Flash recovery allows you to rebuild tables on the object level or data on the object level on the fly when you make a mistake. Archiving is for things like backup and major recoveries. Click Next. Don't want any of this. Click Next. Accept the memory sizings. Leave it as it is. Generally, what I do is I use, for each new version of Oracle, the installation defaults as a rock-solid guide as to what actually works properly in the current released version of Oracle. So I leave the defaults. I particularly like to do a clean installation when I get a new version of Oracle just to see what they set all the parameters to. This is all the parameters. There's a lot of them. There's also a lot of advanced parameters as well. We won't get into the detail of all this stuff in this course because it's too advanced, but there's a lot of functionality and capability to alter Oracle on the fly. It's complicated. Click Sizing. The block size is set to 8K. I like to reset the processes. I don't think 150 is ever enough. Character sets, just look at it. Connection mode, always leave it as dedicated. Go back to memory settings, click Next. Some of the screen changes might be a little slow. Control files, data files, redo log groups. This is the very basic structural architecture of Oracle. We'll get into the details of it later on. Click Next. And I could generate database creation scripts to see what the database creation does. I don't need to. Turn this off. It could be interesting, but do it if you want. I'm going to create a database. Click Finish. And it's going to give me A sometimes confusing summary screen, as in why is it bringing up this extra screen, is just telling you what it's going to do, what and how it's going to create. Click OK and let it run, and it will take a while, so I'm going to pause at this stage. During the installation process you will probably get something like this. What it's telling you is that the listener process is not registered with the database, which doesn't actually exist, and it's telling you that you will probably have to run the Enterprise Manager Configuration Assistant again. There's a program called EMCA in the bin directory. So what we can do is we can go into a notepad to remind ourselves, run EMCA. But there may be some way that we can actually tell the database to register the listener and vice versa at this stage. At this point I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't think so because this message goes back to 11.1. The installer in 11.2 and the deinstallation process is a little bit unusual in some cases. Click OK just to get through that. Click Exit. It's done it. That's the database created.